Welcome to a special episode of Grow Pakistan. Today, we trace the journey of US soy in Pakistan, a story that goes far beyond just a single crop. Soybean is one of the world's most versatile commodities, rich in protein, vital for animal protein, and a major source of edible and vegetable oil. In Pakistan, it supports two of the nation's most important industries, poultry and food processing, while also linking farmers, businesses, and consumers to global trade flows. At its core, soybean is not just about agriculture. It is about food security, economic growth, and international partnerships. In this episode, we'll explore the significance of soybeans for Pakistan's future, guided by insights from local industry leaders and the US Soybean Export Council, a key global partner. US soy has long positioned itself as a sustainable and reliable option. There are key sustainability practices that distinguish US soy from competitors like Brazil or Argentina.
The great thing about U.S. soy and the sustainability history that it has, it's really built upon the farmers in the United States, because that's where it all starts. And you know, if you think about our farmers, many of them are so proud to be multi-generational farmers. You hear them talk, you've heard them at various conferences say, I'm 5th generation or I'm 7th generation. And to me, at a high level, that is a great measure of sustainability, because if the farm built upon the land has been able to sustain itself for that long, they must be doing something right. So now, in this age of data, in this age of scientific information that everybody wants, we're looking at many things deeper than that. We look at the carbon footprint that our farmers have. We look at the amount of erosion that takes place. We look at the amount of fuel that it takes to produce a ton or a bushel of soybeans on a certain unit of land, on an acre of land, is the way we measure it in the US. So all of those things are measurements that we have, and we compare those. You ask about comparing them against another country. We are very proud because we look at those things and we compare them against how other countries do, and the United States does very well. Again, it's back to the farmers, and our farms are family farms. 97% of the farms in the United States are owned and operated by family farmers. And so that gives them this desire to keep the farm going for a long, long time. And while they may not be thinking about it in those data terms, those data points are clearly different than what's happening in other countries.
मेरा जो ज़ाती मुशाहिदा है और जो मेरा ज़ाती इल्म है, जो हमने कंपेयर किया है, US सोयाबीन और ब्राज़ीलियन बीन, ये दोनों हम मंगवाते हैं, क्रश करते हैं। लेकिन मेरा आज तक का जो तजर्बा है, उसमें ये हमने पाया कि जो US बीन्स हैं, ये क्वालिटी में बेहतर हैं। इसकी प्रोटीन की डाइजेस्टेबिलिटी बेहतर है, इसमें ऑयल के रिफाइनिंग लॉसेस कम हैं, ये ज़्यादा सस्टेनेबल है चूँकि हमने अपनी आँखों से देखा, वेयर एज़ दूसरे सोर्सेज से ग्रोन सोयाबीन सस्टेनेबल नहीं है। और ये चूँकि यहाँ पे मौसम अमेरिका में ठंडा है, और इसकी वजह से जो इसकी राइपनिंग होती है, जब फसल काटी जाती है, मॉइस्चर कम होता है, टेम्परेचर कम हो रहा होता है, इस वजह से बीन की क्वालिटी बहुत अच्छी है, और इससे जो रिजल्टेंट मील है उसकी डाइजेस्टेबिलिटी पोल्ट्री में बहुत बेहतर है, जिससे कि उसकी FCR ब्रॉयलर की ज़्यादा अच्छी होती है।
To start, let's revisit the moment where soybean imports came to a halt, a pause that sent shockwaves across entire sectors. Few felt the impact more directly than Dr. Fakir Mohammad Sabir, a leading figure in Pakistan's poultry industry. With his company relying heavily on steady feed supplies, he witnessed how production was squeezed almost overnight. Shakil Ashfaq, a prominent soybean processor and importer, also experienced the price spikes and supply chain disruptions from the front lines of trade.
अक्टूबर 22 से पहले अगर एवरेज प्राइस देखें उस पूरे साल की, तो इट वाज बिलो 200 रुपीस। वी टॉकिंग अबाउट लाइव ब्रॉयलर मीट, द चिकन। पर केजी, तो इट वाज बिलो 200 रुपीज़। फिर 24 में जब ये पीक पे गई थी तो इट क्रॉस्ड 500 रुपीज़, और एक्चुअली तो इससे भी ऊपर जाती, बट उस पर आई थिंक बाइंग पावर इतनी अफेक्ट हो गई थी कि इसके ऊपर सेल्स बहुत अफेक्ट हो रही थी, तो ये जा नहीं पाई। आई थिंक इट विल कम डाउन फर्दर, बिकॉज ये जो पूरी इस क्राइसिस की वजह से काफ़ी पोल्ट्री बिजनेस से लोग निकल गए थे। ग्रैंड पेरेंट फ्लॉक जैसे था, लोगों ने उसको दोबारा इंपोर्ट करना होता है, वो दोबारा इंड्यूस ही नहीं किया। तो डे ओल्ड चिक से लेके आम फार्मर तक ने अपना ऑपरेशन बंद कर दिया था। अब उसको दोबारा रिस्टोर करने के लिए 2 ईयर साइकिल, क्योंकि ग्रैंड पेरेंट फ्लॉक डलता है, फिर वो 6-8 महीने बाद वो पेरेंट फ्लॉक देता है, फिर उसके कुछ अरसे बाद वो डे ओल्ड चिक्स आते हैं। तो अभी दैट प्रोसेस हैज़ स्टार्टेड, वी आर प्रॉब्ली इन द मिडल ऑफ इट, तो प्रॉब्ली 6 मंथ्स बाद हम और रिडक्शन देखेंगे प्राइस।
दो 2022 में अक्टूबर में ये बैन लगा, ऑल ऑफ ए सडन लगा, कोई उसमें मौका नहीं दिया गया कि आप अपना बंदोबस्त कुछ और देख लें। अचानक इसको बंद कर दिया गया, जिसका सबसे बड़ा नुकसान पोल्ट्री इंडस्ट्री को पहुंचा। बेशुमार कंपनीज इसके साथ वो बंद हो गई, फीड की क्वालिटी ख़राब हुई, फीड की प्राइसेस बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ गई, जिसकी वजह से चिकन की प्राइसेस भी बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ी। और उसका जो नुकसान है पाकिस्तानी अवाम को हुआ कि चिकन की प्राइसेस हमने देखा कि 2023 में 45% चिकन की प्राइसेस इंक्रीज़ हुई। पोल्ट्री ओवरऑल श्रिंक हुई, जो एक ग्रोथ इसमें हो रही थी 8 से 10% की, वो ग्रोथ रुक गई, बल्कि ये नीचे आ गई, पोल्ट्री कम हो गई तादाद में। तो अब इंशाल्लाह वो साइकिल दोबारा रिवर्स होगा, पोल्ट्री वापस अपने लेवल पे जाएगी जहाँ से ये कम होना शुरू हुई थी, और फिर फर्दर ये बढ़ती जाएगी इंशाल्लाह।
Now that trade has been restored, we're beginning to see the industry slowly regain its balance and rebuild confidence. The resumption of soybean imports has reconnected Pakistan with global supply chains, and that's critical. In other words, restoring this trade doesn't just keep shelves stocked, it directly supports food security, keeps essential industries moving, and reassures everyone from farmers to consumers that the chain is once again intact.
देखिए, ये बिल्कुल एक ऐसी प्रोडक्ट थी जिसकी कोई रिप्लेसमेंट नहीं है, और हमने 2 साल बंद करके भी देख लिया। हमें कहा गया कि आप नॉन GMO सोयाबीन्स प्रोक्योर करें। हमने पहले भी वार्न किया था कि ये अवेलेबल नहीं है, तो वो यही हुआ। वी डिड नॉट हैव इनफ रॉ मटेरियल, और एफिशिएंसी भी डाउन हो गई थी। तो आप समझ सकते हैं कि अगर 30% एफिशिएंसी डाउन है, तो जो ग्रेन्स भी फिर आपको एक्स्ट्रा डालने पड़ रहे थे काफ़ी। वो फिर जैसे ही इसका तकरीबन नवंबर में हमें लाइसेंसेस मिले और दिसंबर शिपमेंट्स हमने की, पहला कार्गो अर्ली फरवरी आया था, और इमीडिएटली बहुत तेज़ी के साथ चीज़ें नॉर्मलाइज हुई हैं, और अब तकरीबन 3 वेसल्स हर महीने अब आ रहे हैं, और लोगों ने अब जो छोड़ चुके थे इस बिज़नेस से, वो अब वापस अपनी प्रोडक्शन बढ़ा रहे हैं।
पोल्ट्री में सोयाबीन लाज़िम मलज़ूम है। सोयाबीन के बगैर पोल्ट्री एफिशिएंटली आप प्रोड्यूस नहीं कर सकते। दुनिया में पूरी वर्ल्ड ओवर सोयाबीन पोल्ट्री फीड में यूज़ होती है, और पाकिस्तान इज़ नो एक्सेप्शन। सोयाबीन हमारी फीड में 25-26% के करीब यूज़ होता है। इसके साथ फीड की क्वालिटी इंप्रूव होती है। अगर हम सोयाबीन यूज़ नहीं करते, फॉर एग्जांपल इसके अलावा फीड बनाते हैं जो कि लोकल हमारे ट्रेडिशनल रॉ मटेरियल हैं, तो उससे फीड की क्वालिटी ख़राब होगी। चिकन तो पल जाएगा, लेकिन उससे उसकी कीमत में बहुत इजाफा हो जाएगा, कास्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन उसकी बढ़ जाएगी, वो बहुत इनएफिशिएंट फीड होगी। इसलिए सोया के बगैर हम फीड बन ही नहीं सकती, मैं ये कहूँगा।
As Pakistan looks toward the future, soybeans represent far more than just another agricultural input. They've become kind of a test case for how the country will manage the intersection of agriculture, industry, and food security. The recent pause and restoration of trade showed us just how fragile the system can be when one piece is disrupted. The bigger question now is, how can Pakistan build a favorable framework for this? Here is where actors like the US Soybean Export Council come in to help Pakistan navigate this balance.
इट्स अ वेरी गुड इनिशिएटिव बाय द यूसेक। मैं समझता हूँ एक बहुत बड़ी दुनिया में कंट्रीब्यूशन है जो कि यूसेक कर रही है। ये जो सोया एक्सीलेंस सेंटर है, मैं बड़ा करीब से इसको वॉच कर रहा हूँ। हम बाकायदगी से अपने लोग भेजते हैं और ये वो लोग हैं जो कि बिल्कुल फ्रेश ग्रेजुएट हैं, यूनिवर्सिटी से आते हैं, 2-3 साल का एक्सपीरियंस या बिल्कुल जिन्होंने नया ज्वाइन किया होता है। ये वो लोग हैं जिनको हम SEC प्रोग्राम में भिजवाते हैं। बेसिक कोर्स से लेके एडवांस लेवल तक इनको अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलती है। ऑनलाइन कोर्सेज हैं और उसके बाद इन पर्सन कोर्सेज हैं। और ये लोग जब ट्रेंड होते हैं, क्योंकि यूनिवर्सिटी से इन्होंने ये सारा कुछ नहीं पढ़ा होता, जब वापस आते हैं तो ये डेफिनेटली बहुत ज़्यादा कंट्रीब्यूट करते हैं। ये एक नए नॉलेज के साथ, नई स्किल के साथ, नई टेक्नोलॉजी को लर्न करते हैं। ये देखते हैं कि दुनिया में क्या हो रहा है और उनको न्यूट्रिशन में, फीड टेक्नोलॉजी में हर किस्म की उनको ट्रेनिंग दी जाती है। और जब वो वापस आते हैं तो हमें वी गेट लॉट ऑफ बेनिफिट्स फ्रॉम देम। और मैं स्ट्रांगली एडवोकेट करता हूँ, दूसरे लोगों को भी कहता हूँ कि ये एक अपॉर्चुनिटी है और मुफ्त की अपॉर्चुनिटी है जिस पे कोई और इन्वेस्ट करता है और आप अपने बंदों को भिजवाते हैं। प्लीज़ इसका फ़ायदा उठाएं और वो आपकी कंपनी में जब वापस आते हैं फिर वो सर्टनली उनके आने से इम्प्रूवमेंट होती है।
To put Pakistan's experience into perspective, it helps to step back and look at the bigger global picture. That's where Jim Sutter comes in. He's the CEO of the US Soybean Export Council, one of the most influential organizations in global agricultural trade. For decades, Jim has been working at the center of international markets, helping connect US soy farmers with buyers and industries all around the world. Not just of how soy moves across borders, but also of the partnerships, trust, and long-term planning that make this trade possible.
I love the word trust because it really talks about the relationship, the collaboration between the producer and the person that is going to be using the product. And one of the ways that we work very hard to try and build trust is by having importers in developing countries, in countries all over the world, get to know our US soy farmers and experience firsthand. Because throughout the course of a year, we'll invite people to come to the United States and we'll take them to a farm and we'll let them meet the farmer, the farmer's family. We'll show him the soybean at different stages, depending what time of year they come, but they'll see it at different stages of growth, whether it's just coming up, whether it's fully mature, whether it's being harvested. But I think that's one way that we really try and build trust. And then to take it a step further, because people say, well, that's fine, I see that and I like it, but we also have then a tool that we've developed, the US Soy Sustainability Assurance Protocol. And that is it's a collection of information about how the crop is grown, about the laws that govern the way that farmers farm, about the laws that control how they work with their employees, about the educational opportunities, the health opportunities for the workers on the farm. And then it talks about the farming practices that are used. Is the land highly erodible? If so, what farming practices are used? What is done to make sure that the best practices available are utilized on the farm? So farmers have to comply with these rules, and assuming that they do, then we are able to issue a verification certificate. It's not we, there's a third party that issues this SSAP verification certificate. And as exporters are shipping soybeans or soybean meal or soybean oil, any soybean product, to a buyer in another country, they can request from this third party a verification certificate, and it should be available so they can take that certificate and supply it to a buyer to be able to demonstrate or verify the sustainability of the raw material that buyer is then going to take and utilize in feed production or food production or some other way that they're utilizing the soy.
There are many misconceptions regarding U.S. soy in the market, and Jim Sutter breaks some of those down and explains why U.S. soy can be the defining choice for soy imports worldwide.
Single biggest misconception. I think sometimes people think that, soybeans are grown on factory farms, that it must be one big entity that is driving all of this. I think when people get the opportunity to travel to the United States and see that it is family farms. 97% of our farms in the United States are owned and operated by families. And I think people really appreciate that when they see U.S. soy, and then to see the care that our farmers put into the product to make sure it's planted in the right conditions, it's taken care of as it's growing in the right way, and then it's harvested and stored in the right conditions. I know I heard a speaker recently talking about U.S. soy. When it's harvested, it's autumn, and we're going into the cooler time of year, and it's almost like our U.S. soy is stored in the deep freeze, or kind of put in a chilled situation to make sure the quality is good. And so I think one of the misconceptions is maybe that we don't have such a really quality-oriented and sustainable production method. So I like people to understand that and feel a part of that, because we've got a lot of data that shows people, whether they're in a developing market or a mature market, wherever in the world, more and more people, especially the younger generation, are caring about how their food is produced, what goes into the production of it. Is the land being harmed? Are people being harmed? And once we can tell them the story about how U.S. soy is produced, they feel much better about that.
Jim Sutter sheds light on what he sees as the potential for U.S. soy in Pakistan will be, and what it means for USSEC's trading relationship with Pakistan.
I think the outlook is very good for U.S. soy in Pakistan. Pakistan is a market that I've been watching for many years. I've been in Pakistan several times over the years. I actually was in Pakistan many years ago when I was working in the soy industry, but in a different capacity. So I've seen Pakistan develop and grow, and I'm so impressed with it as a country. And I'm also impressed with the industry there. Soybean crushing is relatively new in Pakistan, and they took plants that were utilized perhaps for crushing other oil seeds, converted them to soy as their poultry industry, and to a smaller extent their aquaculture industry were in need of a protein product to be able to feed that livestock. And Pakistan also has the great thing going for it that they need edible oil. So a soybean, as they import the bean, provides two things. It provides edible oil, which Pakistan needs, and it provides the protein product, which can go into the poultry industry. So their industry, and they have an industry association called APSIA, the All Pakistan Solvent Extractors Association. And we've worked closely over the years with that group, and it's been fun to watch as they develop and grow. And now we've also worked with the Pakistan Poultry Association, and that industry is really growing. So what makes me optimistic about the future for U.S. soy in Pakistan is the growth of the poultry consumption. It's still relatively low on a global basis. I think poultry consumption is something like 10 kilos per capita. In many other countries, it's higher. And I think people in Pakistan, as the economy develops further, I think they will want to consume more. So I think that paints a bright future for both the poultry industry and the crush industry, and we want to be a supplier to that group. And also then the large edible oil industry needs the oil. I also, in discussion with Pakistani crushers just recently, they've been telling me how much they appreciate the quality of U.S. soybeans and the problems they've had with soybeans coming from other origins. And that's something that I always love to hear. I know that, and I feel it strongly, and I'm always telling people about that. But what I really like is when other people tell me that they notice a difference and the benefits and the enhanced quality of U.S. soy. So I think all those things combined, I think we have a great future together.
He reflects on key takeaways from the USSEC Soy Connect conference, addressing common misconceptions about U.S. soy in markets like Pakistan.
I think it's really important that people understand that U.S. soy, U.S. agriculture in general, but U.S. soy in particular, that's who's putting on the conference, is here to be a supplier to the world. And that we grow a large soybean crop in the United States, and we really grow that largely for the international market. Roughly 60% of the soy that's produced in the United States gets exported as beans, meal, or oil. Our U.S. soy farmers have been working in international markets together with industry for a long time. The first international office for the U.S. soy representatives was opened in 1956. So what is that, 69 years ago. So a long time ago. We've been focusing on international markets. So we want people to know, that the participants here from around the world, to know that we care about international markets. We're growing a crop largely based on their demand. And that this idea that, I hear some people talking about global trade slowing down, going away, global trade is dying. Nothing could be further from the truth in our opinion. I think global trade is alive and well, and I think the United States soybean industry wants to be a great supplier to the world, and we're seeing that. We're enjoying strong demand from many markets around the world. Diversification is important to us, and conferences like this are a great way for us to help make that happen.
Last year, 2024, was a turning point when the U.S. Soybean Export Council signed a Memorandum of Understanding with APSIA, the All Pakistan Solvent Extractors Association, and PPA, the Pakistan Poultry Association. This wasn't just paperwork, it was a historic moment for the industry. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Grow Pakistan in collaboration with the U.S. Soybean Export Council.